What if I told you that you can talk to the greatest people in the world and you can have a conversation with them and you can take some of their best ideas sitting in your own home? Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki, Jack Canfield, James Clear, Tim Ferriss, and the name goes on. You can actually have them in your own house. You know that? Now you must be asking me, how can you do that? And the answer is very simple, through books. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 books that you must read before you die. Hi there, my name is Siddharth Rajsekar and I've been geeking out with books for many years. Personally, my favorite way of consuming a book is by listening to it in audio format, and I've been doing it for many years. My Audible is filled with so many books. So I'm going to be sharing with you the books that have impacted me the most, that has helped me grow as a person over the last decade. And the best part is there are so many books and titles out there, but I'm going to give you my top 10. It could be very different from somebody else's top 10 suggestion, but I'm going to start with the first book. One of my favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear. So those of you who've been struggling with productivity, this is one of my favorite books where I've got the insights and the way that he's written it in such crisp and clear language with so many bulb-ons in this book that I got to as I was going through it and listening to it as an audiobook has been phenomenal. Okay, so those of you who have been struggling with productivity, you're not able to get things done and you want to be super efficient and productive in your life, do check out Atomic Habits by James Clear. The second book that I would really recommend for all of you is this book called Ikigai by Hector Garcia, and it's a best-selling book on Amazon for a very long period of time. It is a Japanese concept of living your life in true fulfillment and alignment on a day-to-day basis, where there's no concept of retirement and how do you live a long and happy life. Concept of Ikigai is from Japan, where there are 4 things. First is you need to love what you do. 2 is you need to be good at what you do. 3rd is people need to want what you do. There should be a need in the market. And number 4, you should get paid for it. When these 4 align is what Ikigai is. But then this deeper than just this. When you read the book Ikigai, you'll understand that it's a lifestyle. And if you look at back in the day in our Indian culture also, even though this is coming from Japan, Indian culture, people were living their swabhava, or they were living each day based on their higher purpose to whatever they wanted to do and contribute in this world. And that really helped people have long lives. They were fulfilled and there was no question of depression and this and that. The people were living a more fulfilled life and long life. Now the point here is today we're living in a very fast-paced world, and sometimes it becomes very difficult for people to know what they want. So this book will give you clarity on the more important things in life. The third book I would recommend for you is a book, it's a heavy read by Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's called Becoming Supernatural. This doctor has spent many years analyzing brain patterns, analyzing spirituality and science, and this is the best book in the world that I know of that decodes the science behind spirituality beyond religions and other stuff. Amazing book, and so many examples and stories where he's been able to analyze the brain patterns of people and how spirituality, meditation and these things actually help people live a better quality life. It reduces crime and all of that in different places of the world when people are coming together with a common vision, common cause, and connecting to the higher power and the higher force. You may call him with different names, the creator, the universe, the force. So there is a very beautiful connecting the dots in this particular book when it comes to science and spirituality, and I would highly recommend this. The fourth book that I would recommend is called Thou Shalt Prosper by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. He is a Jewish priest who actually decoded how the Jews were some of the richest people in the world. Even today, some of the Jews are the richest people because of their philosophy behind money and wealth creation. Okay, many people have a different view of Jews, and over the years, even Jews have been ill-treated, mistreated, and misconstrued for various different situations. But this particular book opened my eyes to a new perspective on wealth creation itself. And there are 10 commandments of wealth creation. It's a big read, it's a pretty long book, and when I heard this audiobook, it completely transformed me. It helped me understand that business for me, it is no more about just going and making profits. There is a mission behind the business, and it is a spiritual activity also. So if you want to understand how business can become a spiritual activity, this is a very recommended read. The fifth book that I would recommend for all of you if you want to completely transform your life is a book called Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. It is a fat book, okay? It's like the more advanced version of his popular book called Think and Grow Rich. Many people attribute to Think and Grow Rich, but the Law of Success, it is years of research that he's done where he's analyzed some of the biggest millionaires of the planet back at that time, as he was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, and he's put all of that into the Law of Success book, which has pretty much covered all the 13 principles that he covers in Think and Grow Rich on a much more deeper level. Now, honestly, I have not read the entire book because it's pretty big, but every time I've gone in and I have dug into the chapters, and this is not an audio format, I actually have the physical book lying there on my shelf, and I just go open it up every time I open up any page, and I go deep and read a few pages, and it is so powerful and insightful. So my recommendation to all of you here is to pick up Law of Success and have it on your shelf for sure, but read it in phases of your life where you feel that there's anything missing. So if you feel your relationships are not going well, or your health is not going too well, there are different segments where you can go into this book and get solutions to to that. The sixth book that I would recommend is a book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. It's a beautiful book. It's a story format which talks about the importance of money. It's like a storyfied format on the rules of money and how you can become incredibly rich and wealthy based on the story that is there in the book. Okay, it's an old classic. The way it is written and the English written in the book is slightly more old traditional format and style, but it's very gripping and engaging if you're somebody who likes storyfied versions of personal development books. Okay, the seventh book that I would recommend to all of you is a book called 80-20 Principle by Richard Koch. Okay, amazing book where he's actually decoded that everything in this world can be put into Pareto's principle or 80-20. For example, 80% of the wealth in the world is created by 20% of the population and vice versa. Okay, now the whole idea is once you read this book, you'll understand that the entire world is revolving around this thing called law of averages. Even on my YouTube channel, there could be hundreds of subscribers, but only 20% of them keep coming back. Only 20% of people who come on my website will become a lead. Only 20% of the people who become my lead come to my webinar. Only 20% of people who come to my webinar will buy my product, or even less than that. So, and only 20% of the people who are my customers and students end up getting massive results. Once you get exposed to this worldview of averages and numbers, and he has proved many of those numbers with data in that book, you'll be mind blown. Okay, totally mind blown. The eighth book that I recommend to all of you is a book called Think Simple by Ken Segall. Now, Ken Segall is somebody who spent many years with Steve Jobs, and he brings about the simplicity principles on how Steve Jobs used to think, on how he made Apple one of the biggest companies in the world as we see it today, and the mindset behind how it happened. So this book has impacted me amazing. Many people don't know about this book, but it's an amazing book to understand on how to think simple. Currently in my business, I don't have any office. I work with 3 to 5 employees. We are a multi-crore a year business right now. Very profitable. How is that possible? Because of simplicity. I don't do too many things. I don't go on traffic on the road for 2-3 hours a day. I don't give my time to too many people. I've only been focusing on doing the highest impact activities, and I'm focusing on building a world-class product, just like how Apple has built, over the years. So those kind of thinking and those first principles thinking, you're going to be getting in this book called Think Simple. Number 9, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I don't have to talk about this book, but it's been a number 1 bestseller for many, many years. And this book is especially helpful for those of you who want to understand what does it take to be an entrepreneur and what does it take to create wealth long-term by understanding the cash flow quadrant. You have employee, self-employed, business owner, investor, and that journey on how to go from the left side of the quadrant to the right side of the quadrant is something that you got to learn. And there's no one who has more beautifully described this concept than Robert Kiyosaki in the form of his own life story and the simple principles that he shares in the book. So if you have not read the book, please read it. And if you've already read the book, go through it once again. Finally, the book number 10 that I would recommend for each one of you here is my own book, You Can Coach. I wrote this book in the year 2021. It has hit the international bestseller in US, in Australia, in Europe, and of course in India, Amazon as well. And I would highly recommend that each one of you here read this book because it's a pretty fat book, 648 pages, where I've interviewed some of the best leaders in the training and coaching industry, including Jack Canfield, Dr. John D. Martini, Blair Singer, and some of the top industry leaders like Rajiv Talreja, Pooja Puneet, Suren Jayasekar, and many of our digital leaders in our country. And I've shared all of the principles in 9 chapters, how to plan, launch, and grow a digital coaching business within a few months, and how to take it to 6 figures a month. This book has taken me many years to distill in terms of knowledge, and I wrote it in the year 2021, and I would highly recommend that each one of you pick it up on Amazon right now if you have not done so yet. I said 10 books. I've covered the 10 books, but I want to leave you with the 11th book. 11th book is I want each one of you to go back to your own scripture, because evergreen knowledge is there in your own scripture. Whether you are reading the Gita or the Quran or the Bible or whichever text that you are able to connect with, I would highly recommend that you go back and read it with an open mind. For me, I read the Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Why I like this book is he has decoded the word for word meaning for every single Sanskrit verse in the Gita, and he has given a translation for it, and he has given a purport for it, which is as it is, without any kind of adulteration or giving his own opinion about it. It's about what has been passed down over 5,000 years, coming in a lineage of more than 34 spiritual saints and teachers. So the Bhagavad Gita as it is what I like to read, and depending on which which religion or faith that you follow, please go back to reading that, because that knowledge, it's not like reading a newspaper. Newspaper you read today and tomorrow you don't feel like reading it again. This you can read again and again and again and again. Read it for 30, 40, 50, 60 years and you'll still find new meaning in each of those verses. That's why these texts are not normal. It's coming from a higher plane of understanding. It's coming from a higher plane of thought, from a higher source of energy for us to tap into. So the 11th book that I would recommend for all of you is to go back to your own scripture. And if you have not picked up and read Bhagavad Gita as it is, please read it. It's not a religious book. It's a way of life. It's to understand that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And it's beyond religion. It is about a way of living your life where you can perfect your life in this human form so that you can, progress your way to the next afterlife and get out of the cycle of birth and death. That's the goal of all the different religions and scripture that is there, to get out of the cycle. Okay. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have any other book recommendations, please share your book recommendations in the comments below. I would be reading your comments and replying back to them. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so that you get more of these in the future. Okay. Take care. God bless, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.